My French is not very good, but I think it's called joie de vivre. You know, I think that there are people who come down to New Orleans and they stay in a hotel and they say, "Where's the nearest Burger King?" And people like that probably really shouldn't stay here because it's not their place. If you're not having a good time here, you probably aren't meant to have a good time. But I think that there's something about being in a place where people are not on the track, so to speak. I just think that people here understand that, there's so many pressures and stresses and difficulties with being alive. And if you're not taking the time to, smell those roses, then you're wasting your time. I often say that, like Jimmy Stewart in It's a Wonderful Life, I was convinced that I wanted to leave this city. And Katrina forced me and my entire family to leave for about a year, about 40 of us. And the storm actually is the thing that made me decide that I wanted to stay here. It brought me back to the city because I realized through my travels that people are great everywhere, food is okay everywhere. You can have a good time anywhere in the world, but here it's a lot easier. People in New Orleans, they're dedicated to living life and having a good time. And when it comes down to it, that's why I came back, and that's why I'll probably never leave. I'm Maurice Ruffin. I was born very close to New Orleans in Metairie, but I've lived here my entire life. To be honest, there are cities that probably work better than we do right now. We're still in the process of improving. But having said that, I think if you come to New Orleans right now as a brand new, green person from Schenectady or whatever, you come to New Orleans, you're going to find people who want to help you, who want to help, if you're the seed, they want to get you into the ground, so to speak, and they will show you how to navigate the city. I mean, it's a city where if you only had a couple bucks in your pocket, you wouldn't starve because there's like, you can smell some food next door and they'll be like, "Hey, you want some of these red beans and rice?" And you're fine. But in terms of like, say you want to get a good place to live, you want to find a decent job, you'll find some friends within your first, 7 to 10 days who are going to back you up and give you some support to move forward here in the city. So it's an easy place to live. It always has been. There's so much energy in the city right now. I keep hearing these studies one after another about how we have the biggest influx of young talent coming down here. People under the age of 35 who want to come and plant their flag and make a future. And, throughout our history, we've always been like this kind of migratory community, people coming from all around the world to be a part of the city. But, growing up here, I didn't really see this sort of young entrepreneurial class in the city. We kind of had like the service industry class, which was a majority of people. They were doing fine, having a good time. Then you had kind of like the lawyers and the doctors who had the mansions and so forth, and that was fine, and the communities got along okay, but there was no middle ground. I think now with people who are coming here and starting, companies and nonprofits and startups, it's creating a whole new texture to the city, and it's making it very interesting. It's a great place to be right now. Well, I think it's pretty obvious what's happening. It's that sort of kicked over ant pile effect. Whenever something is destroyed, it comes back usually a little bit better than it was before. And like many American cities, I think New Orleans was sort of in a state of decline for a while, where there were empty spaces all over the place, parking lots instead of buildings. But now, there have probably been maybe 10 new condominiums built in the past 5 years, and they're more on the way, and they're all being stocked to capacity. So people are coming in, they're moving in because they have jobs, and those jobs create new jobs. And I imagine that, within the next 5 or 10 years, you're going to have this sort of overflowing capacity of restaurants and clubs and art galleries and just great places to live and have a good time and enjoy your life here in New Orleans.